My uncle introduced me to a room full of strangers as the disappointment. Not in those exact words, but close enough. "This is Madeline," he said, gesturing at me with a champagne glass and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "My niece, the one who, well, she chose a different path, didn't follow the family business, went off to do her own thing, still figuring it out, aren't you, sweetheart?" 200 people stared at me. Some smiled awkwardly, others looked away. A few whispered to each other. And I stood there in a dress I'd bought specifically for this wedding and felt myself shrink. "My name is Madeline Brooks. I'm 28 years old, and I just bought the hotel we were standing in. But nobody knew that yet. Let me back up. I grew up in Denver, in a family that measured success in 3 ways: money, status, and who you knew. My father was a corporate attorney. My mother came from old Colorado money, the kind that's been passed down through generations and comes with summer homes and country club memberships. My older brother, Tyler, went to law school, works at my father's firm now, drives a Tesla, lives in a penthouse downtown. My cousin, Vanessa, the bride, married into a real estate development family. Her husband, Preston, comes from serious California wealth. His family owns half of Santa Barbara. And then there's me. I was always the odd one out, the kid who didn't fit the mold. I liked computers more than cocktail parties, preferred coding to networking. While my family was attending galas and charity auctions, I was in my room teaching myself how to build software. When I graduated college, my father expected me to join the family firm. My mother expected me to marry someone from the right family. My brother expected me to fail at both. Instead, I moved to a small apartment in a quiet part of Denver, took a job at a tiny tech startup, and disappeared from the family orbit. They didn't understand, thought I was wasting my potential, throwing away opportunities. My mother stopped introducing me to her friends. My father stopped asking about my career. Tyler made jokes at family dinners about Maddie's little computer hobby. I stopped going to family dinners. For 5 years, I kept my distance, sent polite birthday cards, showed up to major holidays when guilt demanded it, but mostly I stayed away. Because it was easier than constantly defending my choices to people who'd already decided I was a failure. Then, 3 months ago, I got a wedding invitation. Vanessa and Preston, Santa Barbara, black tie, adults only. RSVP June 1st. I almost didn't go, but my mother called. "Madeline, you have to come. It's family. Vanessa specifically asked for you. It would be rude not to show up." I doubted Vanessa had specifically asked for me, but I said yes anyway. Maybe part of me wanted to prove something, that I was fine, that I'd built a life they didn't know about, that their judgment hadn't broken me. So I booked a flight. Bought a navy dress that was elegant but not flashy, and I flew to Santa Barbara alone. The wedding was at the Belcourt Hotel, a historic property overlooking the ocean. Stone architecture, manicured gardens, the kind of place that charges $1,000 a night and still has a wait list. I arrived the day before the wedding, checked into my room, avoided the pre-wedding cocktail party where I knew my family would be networking and drinking expensive wine. The wedding itself was beautiful. Vanessa looked stunning. Preston looked nervous. The vows were traditional. The ceremony was short. And then came the reception. The ballroom was decorated like something out of a magazine. String lights, white roses, a live band, tables set with china and crystal. Everything perfect, everything expensive. I found my assigned seat at a table near the back. Not with family, with other miscellaneous guests, people who didn't quite fit into the main social circles. I was fine with that. I sat down, smiled politely at the strangers around me, made small talk about the ceremony and the weather and how beautiful Santa Barbara was. And then my uncle found me. Uncle Richard, my mother's brother. A venture capitalist who spent most conversations talking about deals he'd closed and people he knew. The kind of man who measured everyone by their net worth and dismissed anyone who didn't meet his standards. "Madeline, there you are, hiding in the back." I stood. "Hi, Uncle Richard." He hugged me briefly, then stepped back and looked me over. "You look nice. Are you still doing that tech thing?" "I work in software, yes." Still at a startup?" "Something like that." He nodded, then, without warning, raised his voice. "Everyone, this is my niece, Madeline." People at nearby tables turned. My stomach dropped. "This is the Brooks family wild card," he continued, laughing. "Madeline here decided corporate law and finance weren't for her, went off to do her own thing. Computers and, what is it you do again? Help desk?" "I build software." Right, software." He waved his hands dismissively. "Still figuring it out, aren't you, sweetheart? Trying to find your footing." I felt my face flush. "I'm doing fine." "Of course you are. Good for you. It's never too late to settle into something stable." He patted my shoulder, walked away, left me standing there with dozens of eyes on me. The message was clear. I was the family disappointment, the one who didn't measure up, the cautionary tale they told at dinner parties. I sat back down, kept my face neutral, but inside, I was screaming. Dinner was served. I ate in silence. The people at my table tried to include me in conversation, but I could barely hear them over the noise in my head. I kept replaying my uncle's words, still figuring it out, never too late to settle into something stable. Like I was lost, aimless, a failure. He had no idea. None of them did. 5 years ago, I joined a startup called Apex Solutions. We built project management software for small businesses. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. 2 years ago, I became head of product development. 1 year ago, the founder retired and offered me the company. I took out loans, reinvested every dollar I'd saved, brought in investors who believed in the vision, and 6 months ago, we sold to a major tech conglomerate for $42 million. I walked away with $18 million after taxes. I didn't tell my family, didn't post about it on social media, didn't throw a party or buy a flashy car. I paid off my student loans, bought a modest house, invested the rest, and I started looking for my next project. 3 months ago, I found it. The Belcourt Hotel. It was struggling. Beautiful property, great location, but mismanaged and hemorrhaging money. I bought it, outright. Put together a team to renovate and rebrand. We were 3 weeks from the official reopening, and my cousin's wedding was one of the last events booked under the old management. Nobody in my family knew, and I hadn't planned to tell them. But then my uncle humiliated me in front of 200 people, and I decided maybe it was time. After dinner, the speeches started. Preston's father, Gregory Hamilton, stood up. Tall, silver-haired, the kind of man who commanded attention without raising his voice. He gave a heartfelt speech about his son, about family, about building a life together. And then he said something that made my blood run cold. I also want to take a moment to thank the staff here at the Belcourt for making this day so special. This hotel has been in transition recently, and I know the team worked incredibly hard to make sure everything was perfect. He paused, looked around the room. In fact, I read an article last week about the new owner, a young entrepreneur who's been making waves in the tech industry, built a software company from the ground up, and recently sold it for a significant sum. Now she's investing in hospitality. Smart move, if you ask me. My heart started pounding. I believe her name is Madeline Brooks? The room went silent. Gregory scanned the crowd. Is she here tonight? I'd love to meet her. Every head in the room turned, looking, searching, and then my uncle's voice, loud and confused, "Madeline Brooks? That's my niece." Gregory's eyes found me. "You're the Madeline Brooks you mentioned?" I stood, slowly, every eye in the room on me. Yes. You're the one who bought this hotel? Yes. He stared at me, then started walking toward my table. The entire room watched. He reached me, extended his hand. Gregory Hamilton, it's an honor to meet you. I read about your acquisition. Very impressive. 42 million exit, wasn't it? I shook his hand. Something like that. And now you're investing in real estate and hospitality. Bold move. I like a challenge. He smiled. I respect that. Listen, I'd love to talk to you about potential partnerships. My company develops luxury properties along the coast. Having someone with your tech background and business acumen could be incredibly valuable. I'd be open to that. He pulled out a business card, handed it to me. Call me next week. Let's set something up. I will. He nodded, walked back to his seat, and the room erupted in whispers. My uncle was the first to approach me, his face pale. Madeline, I had no idea. I know. You should have told us. We would have, what, treated me differently, respected me more, introduced me as someone who mattered? He opened his mouth, closed it. My mother appeared next. Madeline, darling, why didn't you say something? We're so proud of you. Are you, or are you proud of the money? She looked hurt, but she didn't argue. Tyler showed up, grinning. Maddie, holy shit! 18 million? That's insane! We should celebrate. Let me buy you a drink. I own the bar, Tyler. I don't need you to buy me anything. His grin faltered. Vanessa, the bride, found me last. Madeline, I'm so sorry. I had no idea Uncle Richard said those things. That was so inappropriate. It's fine. No, it's not. You're family. You should have been at the main table. I'm so sorry. I looked at her. Sweet, polished Vanessa, who'd never had to prove herself, who'd married into wealth and status without question. It's okay, Vanessa. Really. Enjoy your wedding. She hugged me, and I let her. But I didn't feel anything. I left before the cake was cut, walked out of the ballroom, through the lobby, out to the garden where the ocean breeze was cool and clean. I stood there, alone, and I felt nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction, no vindication. Just tired. Because I'd spent 5 years building something incredible, and the only time my family cared was when someone else validated it. Gregory Hamilton's recognition gave me value in their eyes. Not my work, not my choices, just his approval. And I realized something. I didn't need their approval. I never had. I built my company without them, sold it without them, bought this hotel without them. Their opinion of me had never mattered. I just hadn't realized it until tonight. The next morning, I checked out early, drove up the coast, stopped at a coffee shop overlooking the water. My phone buzzed, messages from family members, congratulations, apologies, requests to catch up soon. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my email, replied to Gregory Hamilton, set up a meeting for the following week. Because he didn't see me as a disappointment, he saw me as an opportunity. And that was the difference between people who matter and people who don't. It's been 3 months since the wedding. I haven't spoken to my uncle, haven't returned my mother's calls, haven't attended any family events. Tyler sent me a text last week. Hey, we should grab dinner. Want to hear about your projects? I didn't respond. Because I'm done performing for people who only see value and success they can brag about. I'm done shrinking myself to fit into rooms that were never built for me. And I'm done waiting for permission to be proud of who I am. The Bell Court reopened last month, fully booked through next year, 5-star reviews, a waiting list for reservations. I hired a general manager to run day-to-day operations. I'm focusing on my next acquisition, another property, this time in Colorado. Gregory and I are in talks about a potential partnership. He's smart, respectful, sees me as an equal. My family, they see me as a success story now. But I was always a success story. They just weren't paying attention. If you're reading this and you feel invisible in your own family, like nothing you do will ever be enough, I want you to know something. You don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. You don't need them to understand your choices. You just need to keep building, keep creating, keep choosing yourself. Because the people who truly matter will see you, without fanfare, without public recognition, without needing someone else to point you out. And the people who don't, they were never looking in the first place. My uncle introduced me as the one who never became anything, but I'd already become everything. He just wasn't worth telling.